Good evening. It's 6 o'clock, and here is a live look downtown. We got blue skies out there, the sun is out, and that has really heated things up. We did have a cloudy start to the day today, but now we've got that heat that's here, and it's sticking around for the while, and that's why Angela and the rest of the weather team has made today and tomorrow weather impact alert days. We've got some heat alerts as a result, huh?
We do, and we're not alone. Eastern half of the country now dealing with this dangerous heat, and for us, it's a heat advisory for the rest of today into tomorrow afternoon, into tomorrow evening before we will start to get a break. But for now, we all need to remember to take precautions from the high heat and high humidity. It feels like 102 in Greencastle right now, feeling like 104 in Columbus and Seymour at this hour. Also, we've had some downpours of rain, had some over the weekend and completely wash things out, and we had some downpours earlier today. Now the focus for the rain and storm activity is south of Bloomington, pushing south of Lake Monroe. These are impacting Bedford over toward Brownstown, east of North Vernon as well, headed toward the Cincinnati area, and southeast of Greensburg. We've also been keeping an eye on one downpour that's impacting parts of Cass County in and around the Logansport area. Not everybody gets wet this evening, but everybody continues to deal with the high heat, high humidity. We'll stay in the upper 80s and low 90s through sunset. Overnight temperatures mid 70s, so we're not getting any relief overnight either. Highs tomorrow with that weather impact alert in the low 90s.
Thanks, Angela. We are now looking at the aftermath of yet another mass shooting here in Indianapolis. This is the second just this month alone. Today, our Ashton Hackman spent the day looking into the shooting and shares what we're now learning about the victims as young as 10 years old.
It's a sight we've already seen once this summer, a mass shooting on the streets of Indianapolis. The first downtown on July 5th, this time now hitting the Far East Side.
The shootout occurred at the location. A vehicle took off. I'm getting more information. It's a 15-year-old that was shot. EMS is en route.
Metro Police telling us 5 people, all younger than 19, were shot Sunday afternoon on Hornickel Drive. The youngest was just 10 years old. One of those shot remains in critical condition. Metro Police haven't said what led to the gunfire, but said 4 people in a car got into some kind of disturbance with another person outside of the car. Neighbors said violence is not a common sight for their neighborhood.
It was just upsetting because my grandkids, they're always out here playing, and it's like now I can't let them come outside and play because of all this.
Metro Police are continuing their investigation. They are asking anyone who saw or knows anything about this shooting to give them or Crime Stoppers a call. On the Far East Side of Indianapolis, Ashton Hackman, 13 News.
So often here we are reporting on kids with guns involved in violence, but we're also talking to other young adults stepping up, trying to prevent more gun violence in our community. In fact, today, our Ella Rhodes spoke with an 18-year-old about his passion to mentor other kids.
18-year-old Messiah Benton knows the impacts of gun violence. He was only 13 years old when his first friend died from a shooting.
It really changed my motive and how I want to view my life.
Messiah is now a lead mentor for Young Men Inc., but he joined the group when he was just 8 years old. Young Men Inc. is a local organization who says its goal is to empower young black men and other at-risk males. For 10 years, Messiah learned the skills he has now to mentor kids to not choose violence.
Taking action doesn't start by holding a gun. Taking action starts by holding yourself accountable. Other than holding yourself accountable, sometimes it just takes you to realize your environment and not be a product of your environment, but be something out of the better of the environment.
In response to the weekend shooting involving 5 children, ages 10 to 19, Messiah says young children model the behavior they see, and that's why more kids his age need to help change the narrative.
I know people still have the take your younger brother, take your younger sister, but you can't take your younger brother, take your younger sister when you're going to something that you shouldn't be at. I kind of live by the thing of if I can't take them there, then I shouldn't be there either.
IMPD says they've recently seized a gun and ammunition from a juvenile on probation. So far this year, IMPD says it identified 38 juveniles involved in non-deadly shootings. Messiah's grandma, Doris Belton, says after the 40 years she's lived here, gun violence with teens has only gotten worse.
You do need a village. It is hard. You are not your kid's only influence.
Most importantly, she's proud of her grandson, who wants to be the change in his community.
He's sowing a seed back into what was sown into him, because he did not have to turn out this way. He had a hard start.
Representation of a positive product of your environment. In Indianapolis, Ella Rhodes, 13 News.
In the courtroom now, the Texas man who stalked and harassed Fever star Caitlin Clark is now sentenced after taking a plea deal. 55-year-old Michael Lewis now will serve about 1.5 years in jail after he sent numerous threats and sexually explicit images to the Fever star on social media. He's also ordered to avoid all contact with Clark and must stay away from any Fever or Pacer games and events. The judge interrupted Lewis several times during his statement to the court today.
I mean, he may continue to talk, but he is going to talk himself right out of a plea if he continues down this road. I am not going to accept a plea of guilty for somebody who says they are not guilty. I'm sorry. That court cannot. No, the first one, maybe. He was talking about other people, but he just said he never threatened her.
The prosecution charged
and she
me.
never read them, which is not true. Part of what the plea says is that it actually caused her to feel terrorized, frightened, intimidated, threatened.
In the end, the judge ultimately accepted the plea, ordering Lewis not to have any access to the internet while in custody. She also recommended mental health treatment for Mr. Lewis, too. As the Trump administration now continues its enforcement efforts against illegal immigration, we now are getting a clearer picture of what that looks like right here in Indiana. Here's Emily Longnecker.
In just the past 6 months, ICE has arrested close to 1,400 people suspected of being in Indiana illegally. That's an 80% increase in arrests from the same time period last year. That's all according to data collected from the Deportation Data Project, after the group submitted Freedom of Information requests to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That same data showed that of the just over 300 arrests made in June this year alone, 55 of those arrested had no criminal charges or convictions.
Of this year, we've seen just a sense of urgency to detain and arrest and remove people at any cost.
Wendy Catalan-Ruano volunteers with the Indiana Undocumented Youth Alliance and helps support people whose family members have been detained.
Our governor and our politicians are saying, no, we're only going after people with serious crimes. We're only going after people that are committing crimes.
But Catalan-Ruano says that's not always what she's seeing.
We have seen that a lot of our community members have driver's licenses, they have work permits, and they're being pulled over either way, and then ICE is being notified of them driving, of them not being citizens or having legal status, and then they become apprehended by ICE.
And Governor Mike Braun was asked about people being detained who didn't have criminal records.
Here in our state, we're going to do what I said I'd do from the get-go. The worst first, and going after ones that broke the law once they came into the country illegally, and that's to the extent I'm going to be willing to help.
In January, Governor Braun issued an executive order directing all Hoosier law enforcement agencies to fully cooperate with ICE and sign agreements to help them with certain immigration enforcement duties. According to data from ICE, close to 400 law enforcement agencies across the country have signed such agreements. 4 of them are in Indiana. Hamilton, Noble, and Jasper County Sheriff's Departments have all signed agreements with ICE, along with the Green Forks Police Department. A spokesperson for the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department said 5 members of their agency will go through training to be able to identify and start the paperwork for people who are already in jail on criminal charges and are suspected of being here illegally. A spokesperson for the Indiana State Police said they are also planning on signing an agreement to help ICE. For Wendy Catalan-Ruano, she fears with increased arrests, some of the people who end up deported are some of the same people who are already on a path to legal status.
It just contradicts this whole narrative of legal migration.
All at a time with Indiana set to house ICE detainees at Camp Atterbury. Governor Braun telling reporters last week the logistics of that are still being worked out. Emily Longnecker, 13 News.